What is up, you guys? Glad you're back. Today we're going to be going over a new video released by Blizzard for Diablo 4. As you know, there's going to be what's called a server slam on May 12th through May 14th. So if you didn't earn the rewards for the pre-release, all these pre-releases that they've been doing and beta testing releases, you have a chance to earn those and an additional reward of getting an Ashava horn if you get to level 20 and beat an Ashava. But this is going to go over the different classes that they have, and also how to develop your classes and how you can choose to develop your classes. It's something that you should probably look at if you haven't already created a character during beta, and even if you have, it's something that you probably want to review if you want to get that Ashava horn. So let's jump into it.
In the eternal conflict between the high heavens and the burning hells, Diablo 4 offers you more choice than ever before. Player choice is infused into everything, from how you look, the skills you use, the loot you equip, your path through the non-linear story, to how and when you choose to explore the shared open world.
We want players to play their own way and have their own choice of how they're going to build their character.
Between all of our different systems, you can really create a custom character in ways that was not available in previous Diablo.
You can always create your own custom character, but I don't know about you. I have a certain aesthetic that I try and stick with. I've been sticking with for the last 20 years in these specific types of games.
Titles. When you log into Diablo 4, the first thing you're gonna have to do is create your character. And those familiar with Diablo are gonna be very familiar with the screen with all the classes sitting around the campfire.
In Diablo 4, we got
You have to be careful for cultural appropriations, right? Even with your digital characters, something to think about. Hopefully things don't get taken that far.
5 classes. The Barbarian is your fantasy of a fierce warrior fighter.
The Barbarian is the weapon master of Diablo 4, being able to pick up any weapon, jump into the fray, and do really badass stuff with it.
That's one of the characters. So Barbarians, during the beta, there was a lot of complaints that the Barbarians felt a little bit weak, specifically for the level that they were at. And the developers said, don't worry about that so much. Not everybody's going to feel on equal level depending upon their level. And Barbarians in particular, once you start getting really powerful weapons, because they're more of like a heavy weapons class, a power class, once they start getting those legendary weapons and everything, they're going to start feeling much more powerful for their level than even, say, some of the other classes.
They're very strong, they're very physical. They can take different weapons for different situations and use them to their maximum effect.
The sorcerer is really your elemental mage. You have fire, ice, lightning. You can either focus on one, or you can kind of be a jack-of-all-trades mage and use abilities from all three.
They're a little more fragile than other classes, tend to be more ranged.
You know, the sorcerers are known to be one of the more popular classes, and it's because they're known for doing a lot of damage. And in fact, people were thinking that they were way overpowered, like way more powerful than the other classes early on during the beta, because people kind of progressed them to a certain level and kind of mashed up different abilities to find what was probably the best combination of different attacks. But then once people actually started testing some of these other classes, they realized that rogues and necromancers were super, super powerful, at least in the beta. So a lot of things might be equal, you know, before things actually go live publicly, things might get equaled out a little bit better.
Rogue, unlike the Barbarian, they are a little bit more clever. They're very fast. They have the ability to imbue their weapons with different elemental energies, and they can modify them to do different things.
The rogue has 2 different types of play styles. You have the ranged crossbow type gameplay,
Yes.
or you have the in-your-face daggers, poisons. You can lead the enemies into traps that have huge effects.
Yeah, rogue is actually my favorite class. That's the one I generally start out playing with. And what I've done with rogue during the beta is I tried to combine both distance attacks with melee attacks, like up close. So I would go in. He has this attack where you can teleport right behind a specific enemy, go ahead and do an attack, and a lot of times, you know, it'll make the enemy dizzy or other thing, or something out. You know, make the enemy dizzy and super susceptible to a lot of damage. And then I'll do a bunch of attacks. And then once my, power ability kind of goes down, then I'll just try and go away for try and get away for a little bit, do some distance attacks until my power recharges. But man, I love that class. You can do so much cool stuff.
More stealthy type gameplay. The druid is really this shapeshifter.
When you cast certain skills, you change your form, what you look like and what you can do. They can turn into werebears or werewolves. If I cast a werewolf skill, I turn into a werewolf and I do werewolf things. If I cast like pulverize, for example, which is a werebear skill, I turn into a werebear, I slam the ground really hard.
I also played as a druid, and it's amazing just how different the game feels when you play, say, a rogue class versus a druid class or some of these other classes. It feels like almost an entirely different game. And even after you go through once, you start to learn different tricks. And so when you play with a different class, you're like, okay, now I'm not going to like try and search in every single corner. I know where some of these different enemies are at and what some of these mazes look like. And so, it really creates for a different experience. I've been really happy with this game.
Fits the fantasy, it's pretty cool. They can also become masters of nature magic with earth and storm magic. Last but not least, we got the Necromancer. They raise armies of the dead. They have different types of minions. You've got your skeletal warriors, your skeletal mages, and then your golem.
Yeah, the Necromancer was known to have this one particular ability that was just unstoppable in the beta. He could essentially become invulnerable and regenerate all of his health indefinitely. So I imagine that's been balanced out a little bit since then, and we should see, I'm sure he'll still have that same ability, but probably not to this, won't be quite as powerful as it was before.
You have blood magic or bone magic that you can also take advantage of and tackle combat that way. If you've played a previous Diablo game and you enjoyed a certain play style, you can actually bring that into Diablo 4, or just try something completely new.
No matter which class you play, there's going to be multiple different avenues and fantasies that you can chase.
You can customize your character in ways you've never been able to before, with near-endless character creation and transmog options.
In previous Diablo games, you had to be attached to certain archetypes and look a certain way. And in Diablo 4, it's really up to you how you want your character to look.
You'll be able to choose from...
Yeah, I did kind of notice that. There's a lot of crossover in terms of the looks between the different classes. I mean, they do look pretty significantly different, but... they have, for example, like the same tattoo markings for every single class. Like, it's not like there's certain tattoo markings that's just for one class. So I wish that there was a little bit more diversity in that aspect and a little bit more segregation in terms of this class only gets, these specific looks compared to this class. But for the most part, there's a lot of diversity in how you can make your character look. And so it's tough. You can't give people everything. So
different facial structures from people all over the world. No matter where you are, you'll be able to say, hey, I can actually make someone that looks like me or looks like someone from my part of the world, which we're really proud of. You can pick a hairstyle for your character, and every class actually has a specific hairstyle that no other class can use. You can pick your eye color. We have some really fun ones. We have eye glowing. We have a bloodshot type eye. And then you can actually pick a marking, which is a tattoo or a design that covers your entire character. And there are dozens of those.
Transmog is the idea that you can take a piece of gear and change the appearance of it to look like a different piece of gear. As far as aesthetics, the sky's the limit. However you can think of making your character, you can make it that way.
Everybody's going to look completely different in Diablo 4.
Yeah, not only look completely different, but look completely badass. I don't know if you just saw that video, but that looked super awesome.
One of our pillars for class design in Diablo 4 is this idea that we want players to play the way that they want to. When you first start the game, we introduce you to the idea of the skill tree. As you level up, you get access to these different skills or passives or upgrades to make your character more powerful.
Each category has a few different skills that are all similar. They're either all defensive or all offensive, all ice or all fire. You can either focus on a very specific section or you can pick and choose.
The first skill point when you unlock a new skill is going to give you access to that skill. After that, you can put additional points.
I don't think a lot of people are going to focus on any one particular skill set like all fire or all ice. They're going to do whatever is the most powerful. Like if they can find some type of, and whatever has the best synergy with the next attack. So maybe people might do it just for fun and play around, but they'll probably end up changing their abilities to be what's most effective
into any skill that you have, and it's going to make it better, whether it increases the radius or adds some new effect or reduces the cooldown through some special way.
You can actually branch out in a very different direction, even if two characters actually started at the same place. The Paragon board is a late game system that
this is one of those things that I didn't quite understand during the beta. The beta is only gives you a couple days, so you're trying to like use that time to navigate things, find bosses, get weapons, get to level 20, so you get, all of the rewards before that time runs out. And so this was something I really didn't get to experiment with yet.
Once you've completely filled out your skill tree, you think you have a build, it will really let you delve into the theory crafting and the depth of Diablo 4's skill system.
And these boards, they can move through them spending their Paragon points, and they have nodes that give them very basic stats like intellect or dexterity. We also have more powerful nodes. We have rare nodes that have different effects where they can totally modify a skill to do something additional or different, or they can even make new connections between skills so that players can have new ways to play their character. Legendary nodes are equivalent to legendary powers, where they have more powerful effects that can change the builds and ways that characters play.
Man, that diversity. Look at that board. I mean, when you really think about it, it looks like, there'll probably be different maps that people create on YouTube and other platforms to give people character designs, but you're going to have a tough time. You can essentially have an unlimited number of character designs based upon the way this board seems to be laid out and the different attack options. So, something to think about.
You can start planning this long journey of, okay, I want to hit this node, and then I want to hit this node. I'm going to apply this board, and I'm going to start from this side, and really just get into a super complex, very specific build for your character.
That looks great.
Legendary items are really rare and powerful items that you're going to find as you adventure through the world of Sanctuary. We have quite a few different categories of legendaries and how they do that. Some of them will actually change your skill or enhance it in some way.
Frozen Orb, for example, it might say, hey, every single time you use your Frozen Orb, it applies a new effect. And then I can actually take advantage.
Some people found some really good spots for farming during the beta. I hope some of those areas kind of stick around. So, I wasn't really looking for farming. I was trying to do more like world exploration during the time that I was playing during beta, but I'm definitely going to be trying to farm new weapons. Not actually, from what I understand, the whole weapon generation system is going to go back to normal, the way that the way that the game is going to be live essentially during this May 12th through May 14th release. For the server slam. So during the beta, they were essentially giving out all of these really powerful weapons early on and at early levels. So it's getting to level 20 and killing that Ashava might actually be a little bit harder than it was during the beta.
Of that new effect that it has. Even if the item itself is maybe not as good as the one you have, you can still extract that power from it, take advantage of it, and use it for your build.
One thing that our players can look forward to is that a lot of our classic, really rare, and most powerful items from previous titles are going to be returning as uniques in Diablo 4.
Unique items are very similar to legendaries, but they're unique, which means if that ability is actually on a chess piece, it's always going to be on that chess piece because it's more powerful than a regular legendary effect.
Crafting is a big part of Diablo.
Yeah, that's one of the cool things. And not only will you have like this, this giant board of ways to develop your character, progress your character, and different fighting abilities, how taking different abilities and choosing what other abilities you want to synergize them with, but you also have a myriad, just essentially an unlimited number of legendary items that have special attributes that not everybody is going to find or be able to get.
Diablo 4, we have all kinds of different ways that you can upgrade and interact with NPCs to make your gear better. You can increase the item level or power of your gear, so you can actually get a piece of gear and just make it stronger. You can also add sockets to your gear so that you can put gems inside of it.
There are a lot of different ways that players will be able to customize their experience in Diablo 4. Every single player is going to have a different experience and a different build at the end of the day.
Because we have all of these different ways to make your own character, there's a lot more possibility compared to previous titles of how you want to play, how you want to build your character. We really are doubling down on this idea that you can look the way you want, you can play the way you want, you can really make your own fantasy in this game.
Hell welcomes all, and so does Diablo 4. In the coming weeks, we'll be sharing even more about how to play.
You know, it's one of those things. This game is really impressive. They've done a good job with the development. And there's always going to be naysayers and like people that complain about certain aspects about a game, even like on a AAA level game like this, right? But the thing is they've done an incredible job. Honestly, I've really enjoyed playing this, and I do think it's a huge step up from Diablo 3, to be honest.
Your way. Now, our launch on June 6th is getting closer. Closer still if you got early access. And we can't wait to see you in Sanctuary. Hail Lilith, Blessed Mother.
Look at that. Oh man, that was fun. Always have a good time watching Diablo 4 videos. I'm excited for the release. So I'll be covering a lot more of Diablo 4 here. If you haven't subscribed, subscribe, hit that like button. I appreciate you guys. Join the family, and I do my best. You know, I do try to cover a lot of like Diablo 4, like Switch games, new games being released, and even like other collectible stuff too. Like if you liked what we talked about today, go ahead and like and subscribe, and you guys have a good day. Okay, talk to you later.